the old. There we go. Let's move that to so people can see the guitar. There we go. I'm always working on my old let's make my little jacket look a bit nicer for you guys. There we go. There we go. All looking nice now. Okay. Right. So we're live, guys. Welcome back. I haven't live streamed in about a week, I think now. And today I really wanted to go through and discuss why I'm here in China and why China is full of opportunities right now. Because I've had a week that's reminded me exactly why I chose to build my life and business here, and why so many people are missing out right now, not really fulfilling the opportunities that they could be doing, right? So let's just sort my shirt out. There we go. And why so many people are missing what might be one of the biggest commercial windows. Let me rephrase that again because I think my LinkedIn cut. Why so many people might be missing one of the biggest commercial windows in China in particular in a decade. It feels like when I first came to China, although when I first came to China, I didn't have any money, so I couldn't do anything. I was just a student. So I didn't have the know-how that I have now. I didn't have the wisdom, didn't have the network, which is what you need. There was no AI back then. We just had something called Google. It's all you could use. But China is popping right now as far as the life, the business, the opportunities. And I feel really privileged, lucky to be here because of what's on offer. And I mean it as a hard observation from someone who's been on the ground here for over 10 years, walked in the past few weeks, months, years. I'm watching firsthand what is actually happening in the West, because a lot of it is nonsense anyway. When it comes to the news, the only things I really follow are in the UK, we have this TV show called Have I Got News? I love that show. I've watched it since I was a kid. And a newspaper called Private Eye, which I love, the UK newspaper. So I really want to talk about what's actually happening on the ground here in China that they're not telling you back if you're in the West. Or even in China, you might not be aware of what's happening in China right now because you might not be going to expos, you might not be seeing what's online. I'll try and answer them as I go along. So, sorry guys, let me close some things because I've got a bit of an issue. Okay, so today I really want to cover 4 things. What life in China is actually like right now, the real lived experience. What the business and expo scene looks like for foreign companies that are entering or already in China, or Chinese companies as well, because it's relevant for both. What are the opportunities for companies, but personally for you as an individual, if you're watching this, you know, who are the big winners? Who's going to be crushing it in the next few months? I wouldn't say the next 12 months, like who's actually going to be, and then the hard conversation. Any questions in the chat. So foreigners are back and China is loving it. China is in anecdotal example is last night I was in Xintian, right in the center of Xintiandi, central Shanghai now. So they're kind of changing their menus or changing which I haven't seen in a while. You know, things are slowly changing, particularly for the Koreans. And I'll tell you why, because Xintiandi seems to be a new K-town right now, a Korea town, mainly because they've got a historic building near there. But I can tell that there's that love of foreigners, which I first experienced when I first came to China in 2011. That was when I first came to China. So let me give you the real temperature check on the ground here, which are the foreigners are back in China. And it's not a trickle, it's a wave. If you walk around Xintiandi, Remingguanchang, People's Square, Jing'an, any of the major, if you go to a Waitan, if you go to the Bund right now, it will be full of foreigners. And that's really good. I think that's good because, it's, it's cultural exchange, it's money exchange, it's everything. It's understanding more about China. The only way you really understand a country is if you go and visit there. Ideally, if you live there for a long period of time. So how many years have I been in China? I've been in here for over 10 years. I'm still trying to work out. I think it's 12 years now. And do I have a green card? No, I don't. It's quite challenging to get a green card, actually, as a foreigner. You've got to pay loads of tax and you have to have a massive salary, which I don't. What is my actual job? I have my own business in China. I'm not a Wang Hong influencer. That's like 5% of what I do. My main role is I help international companies that are entering or already in China, ideally B2B, that need marketing, PR, and expo support for the Chinese market. So that's my main focus. So China just extended, it's been extending for over a year now, like visa free entry for many companies. I think it's 100 companies, 100 countries. UK and Canada, of course, included in that. So what that means is up to 30 days, no visa, no flight. So this is no fab. This has been in place for a couple of months now, but still a lot of foreigners don't know that in the West. Like I was telling one of my family members over there, really? I was like, yes, I told you this before, but they don't listen. And there's also 240-hour visa-free transit programs operating across 65 ports in China. So the barriers of just getting here have dropped significantly. And I've heard it's quite cheap to fly to China right now. I've got friends from the UK that have flown here recently. If you're flying from the UK and it's cheap, it's going to be cheap from most places. So people are asking me, are you a founder or a startup or work in corporate? I don't work in corporate. I have my own business. So we're talking about visitor numbers. So the visitor numbers are up right now, 110% year on year. During Chinese New Year, nearly 1 million foreigners crossed the border in just 3 days. C-Trip are predicting 40 million international visitors to China in 2026. That's excellent news. And China's travel and tourism economy grew 10% last year, so I'm guessing it's going to be a lot more this year. I can just tell on the ground, if you go to Xintiandi or if you're in any major Chinese city right now, just walk around the center and you will see, I expect if you went to Beijing right now or Shenzhen or any major Chinese city, you will see a lot more foreigners. Oh, that's interesting. China's travel and tourism economy grew at nearly 10% last year, more than twice the global rate, more than the US, which is losing foreigner visitors. I'm not surprised about the US losing foreigner visitors. I think America's an interesting country, and I don't really want to compare China with the US, but for safety, I think China's probably beating every country in the world right now. That's what I always say. When I speak to my Chinese friends here, and I talk about it in my gym, gym that I go to, we always talk about how safety is such an integral part of Chinese culture. And I think it's not just about the control. I think it's, and the fact that there's CCTV, I think it's because Chinese people, Chinese culture, Chinese people don't want a problem, right? They don't want to steal a phone because it's going to it doesn't cross their mind, right? They don't have that kind of thinking. So I wish they had more of that thinking in the UK, but never mind. But as far as the stats go, I want to tell you what I'm seeing on the ground here in Shanghai more, which is the city is full again, properly full. So the restaurants are packed. As I mentioned last night, it was popping. I mean, there's time I'm looking because I do a lot of people watching, and not in a creepy way, but oh look, there's a foreigner. But I just look at the crowds and kind of like in my head and think like how many people are, and there was points where I was like, actually, there's more foreigners here in Xintiandi than there are Chinese people. I'm like, well, wow, that's incredible. So I'm just seeing a lot more of them, and it's not because I've just noticed it. I've always been a very observational person viewing stuff. So, is it easier for a foreigner to start up a company in China? No, I don't think it's easy to set up a bit. So it's not easy anywhere in the world, right? Everyone always says that. Is it easy to set up? It shouldn't be easy. Wherever you set up a business in the world, it's going to be hard. You're going to be hustling. You're going to be working. It's a Sunday night, 6:30 at night. I'm live streaming right now to 300 people, right? You have to hustle. You have to work hard. So the process to set up a business in any country in the world should never be easy. You should be following the rules, following the compliance, paying your tax. That's the way it should be. So anyone that ever says, is it easy to set up a business? Oh, what perks? Like, I heard all this about Dubai last year, about, oh, Dubai, it's so easy to set up a business. Would you set up a business in Dubai right now? No. So yeah, we're talking about the opportunities in China right now in the business. So yeah, I just wrote some notes observationally. So coffee shops, obviously coffee is a huge thing in most cities around the world, but in Shanghai, it's almost like coffee central. So I think there's more statistically, do correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think there's more coffee shops in Shanghai than any other city in the world. If you were to do a number and all that kind of stuff. And it's buzzing, a mix of locals, expats, tourists, Hongqiao, the Bund, Xintiandi. These places are buzzing right now, alive. Again, I'm talking about Shanghai. I'd love to hear other people, if you're based in other cities in China or even second, third tier cities. I bet Chongqing, Chengdu, all those kind of cities must be popping right now in China, full of foreigners, which is a good thing. But here's what strikes me every time when I walk around this city, because I do a lot of city walks in Shanghai. And yeah, I'd be interested to hear Shijiazhuang. That must be full of foreigners right now. Life here is excellent. I'm very lucky to live here. Convenient, cheap, safe. No one's stealing my phone or wallet here. People are friendly. When you say hello, and I don't want this to sound like a tourism ad because I'm not being paid for this at all. I wish I was. But I just want to tell the truth. Shanghai is cheap in a way that will shock you if you're coming from the West. And when I say West, I'm talking anywhere that's non-China. It could be even East. It could be, Australia. But the only thing I'd say is expensive in Shanghai is, I wouldn't say buying a car, but owning a very expensive car. We're talking the Ferraris and Lamborghinis, or having a motorbike, proper motorbike. Because I think the licenses is owning a property in Shanghai. Although I have heard the prices have gone down recently, so I've got a bit of gas. A proper sit-down meal. I had a meal in Shanghai food. I think it cost me, for two people, it cost me 30 quid, 300 RMB, which is an absolute bargain. And even in China, I could have walked a few streets along and had similar food, probably not as good quality, probably in the 100, 150 RMB, 10 to 15 pound kind of range. Because 300 RMB to some Chinese is expensive, like 300 RMB for two people to have a meal, but 30 quid for me, 30 pounds, about 300 RMB. Again, I'm give or take. I always get the conversions wrong. Good food, clean restaurant, full service, very polite. You don't have to tip here. Okay. I've got no problems with tipping if the service is absolutely superb. But this is why I probably couldn't live in America. This idea you have to tip every time, I don't agree with. I think that's something that should be earned. But yeah, I ate out 2 people last night, 300 RMB, like top quality food. We're talking almost like Michelin star food. So, and transportation there. I mean, I walk most places, but I just get one of those Meituan bikes, the yellow or blue bikes that you see around Shanghai. Less than 1 RMB, like less than what's that, 10p to cycle a day, something like that, which is a bargain. I'm not scratching my nose because I'm lying. I'm scratching my nose because I'm genuinely I've got an itch there. So, so everywhere is safe here. I mean, actually safe. Like it's not like London where it's like, oh, certain place you can't go to because you might get mugged or there's going to be a gang or you might get knifed. Here, there's not one street in Shanghai that they'll be like, oh, don't go down that street because there might be danger. It's not like that at all. And I always say this for women, it is super safe. Like you could walk down the streets 2, 3 a.m. anywhere in China. Like try and do some crime here in China. You're going to get caught straight away. But again, I want to make the point that I don't think it really goes through Chinese people's minds like, oh, let's take that phone. Or you can leave your phone on the table. I don't know about that though. I will say that, like, if my phone dropped on the floor, I know in Japan, like if your phone drops on the floor, I've had there, or someone would hand it in. No one's stealing it. And if they're stealing it, it's probably, yeah, it's not going to be Chinese. So, but yeah, it's the kind of place that you can leave your phone on the table and no one's going to take it and it will get found straight away, or you leave in the back of the taxi. China's one of those places. It's super safe. I mean, I don't really go out till 2, 3 a.m., but yeah, nothing's going to happen. The public transport is incredible. I have used a bit of it recently because I've been getting out to expos and exhibitions, these big events in China, and I do take the subway sometimes. The metro is decent. The only thing I will say about the metro is it does get a bit pushy shovey. I think that part of the culture just does have to change in China. This idea, like, I got to get my seat, and like, no, Maidian, let the women and children go first, or the elderly. Like, there's still parts of that culture which is still coming into China. Although I will make the point, the last time I was in London, people were doing that in London. I was like, what? What's happened here? Like, what's happened to my 90s England that I grew up in, where everyone was so polite? And so that is the only thing. It does get a bit pushy shovey, but I think it gets a bit pushy shovey anywhere you are in the world, so. But I don't really take the subway as much. I'm more of a bike guy. I like to cycle and get a bit out there. Obviously, you can pay for everything through your phone. You could use cash here in Shanghai. But I saw a volunteer service booth out in Xintiandi. So there's a volunteer thing. I don't think they have that in London, like volunteer people that help you. When you leave, so at Hongqiao Pudong Airport, when you come out of you've gone through passport control, they have volunteers. So yeah, we're talking about China, by the way, guys. We're talking purely about China. We're not really talking about. I'm comparing stuff to the West, but there is this Western narrative, particularly Western press, that China is kind of hard, closed, unwelcoming to foreigners. It's the complete opposite. I live here. I've lived here for over 10 years. So that's not the China that I experience when I'm walking around. I would say it's more like that in the UK. Every time I go back to the UK now, when I go through the airport, no one's like, hi, welcome back. Everyone's like, oh, what are you doing back? It's kind of like there's a frown. But, when I go through passport control at Hongqiao or Pudong or any airport in China, people smile. People are genuinely welcoming. They're always fascinated. Like, oh, you're in China. You work here. Like, interesting. Like, they're kind of interested in a good way. So more and more foreigners are coming, and I'm finding that out and I think a lot more are finding that out for themselves. Just come to China, right? That's the number one thing. Come to China. The only reason I would go to the Canton Fair is if someone paid me to be on a booth. That's the only reason I'd be down there. Because if I'm on a booth, I'm going to crush it all day long. And it's not arrogant, it's fact. So I don't think the Canton Fair is that good. It's full of people trying to source products super, super cheap, which I know is the point of sourcing products, but it's not a good place to do business. The caliber of people that go there, I think there are better expos in Shanghai right now. So yeah, I think the Canton Fair, unless someone can prove me wrong, I don't see the value. If you're sourcing a product and you want to get it super cheap, maybe you might find an opportunity. But I actually think you could go to somewhere like Wuxi or another Chinese city and probably source that product yourself. I mean, I sourced a product recently in Jinan and Shandong and did it all myself. Didn't need to, So I think the Canton Fair, it's a bit like CIIE. It's I don't know many people that have signed $1 million deals there. All right. So speaking of which, let's talk about the expo scene. That'll be kind of my second part I want to talk about, which is the expo scene, the exhibitions, the big events here in China are absolutely flying right now. And this is what I've been doing for the last few years. I've been going to these expos in China. I'm usually the only one there who's actually drumming up business in a real way, marketing, PR expos. Because this is where it gets really interesting from a business perspective. Being on this expo circuit, the level of activity I'm seeing in China right now is extraordinary. And I want to walk through what's actually happening, what's happened in the first half, should we say, of 2026. And this happened in 2025 as well. Because the concentration of major events in this window has been remarkable. And I've seen more and more foreign companies exhibiting in China. I've seen American and Israeli companies exhibiting here. Who'd have thought that? More. Of course, American companies, but I didn't really see many Israeli companies last year exhibiting. I've seen an Iranian company exhibiting in the last few weeks, which you wouldn't have seen last year. So business as usual. China is open for business. I've been to semiconductor, life sciences. I've been to manufacturing expos in the last, because that's where the money is, to be honest. That's why I don't go to a Canton Fair. There's no money at the Canton Fair. I'll give you a great example. I had an organization approach me recently about the Canton Fair. Could I be on their booth? I was like, okay, what's your budget? The budget was like 2,000 RMB for the day. I mean, nah, it's like nothing. So the budgets at Canton Fair is very low, but the expos that I go to are a lot higher. So I've been on the floor of all these expos. I usually go for 2-3 days if I can. The third day is always a bit of a drag, but it's usually. But thousands of exhibitors now. And I'm talking for foreign companies that have got money. There's loads of companies there. And I'm seeing more robots just generally on the booths. I'm seeing more AI being introduced. I'm still seeing the same mistakes. I'm still seeing people on their phones, which I think this is a travesty. When I go past someone's booth and I see them doing this, it's okay if you're taking a photo or doing a video of your booth. You're doing content or you're adding someone's WeChat, but I see people all day on their phones. So the types of people that go to these expos, most shouldn't be there. The reason you go to an expo is, of course, for a bit of branding, brand awareness, but you want to get business. You want to get new business. You want to nurture your current clients. So it's a big issue right now that there's money on the table at these expos in China, but I'm not seeing I'm only seeing me picking it up, right? Which is good. It's a good position for me to be in. But I would love to see more foreign companies, particularly from the UK. I think the UK is missing a huge trick right now in China. I'm seeing Germans, Austrians, Swiss, Belgian, Italians, French, Americans exhibiting. I'm not seeing enough British companies. It's pathetic, to be honest. Our government organizations in the UK are not doing enough to promote, because China's open. China's saying, yeah, come to China, but we're not stepping in. So that's kind of why I do what I do, because I think UK companies could clear up right now. They could really be capitalizing on these boosts, because if there's only 2 or 3 British companies in a sea of Italians and French and German companies, you're at an unfair advantage, because you're offering something that they might not be, or so it's always better to be the only. So the British companies I do see here, there's usually only 3 or 4 at every expo. They're absolutely, I think they must, well, actually, again, their strategy is not very good. I can count on one hand companies that have done well in the last few months at expos. And the biggest one is their strategy. So what I'm trying to convey is that these events are huge, but not just in scale and size, but opportunity. There's a rolling calendar of major commercial moments concentrated on the first half of this year. So right up until, I'd say, June, from now until June, there will be loads of major expos here in China. And each one is a serious opportunity. It's not just, oh, let's just walk around and have a look at some booths. No, it's international companies. If you're here, or if you're a Chinese company and you're exhibiting and you have ambition, you will, and the right strategy, you will do well in this market. Now, I've touched on a little bit what I'm observing on the floors, and I've done I've produced posts on this already, that if you're coming to China, your booth cannot it has to be Chinese and English. I always ask the question, this is my favorite question to ask some Laowai, some foreigner who comes to, and when I say foreigner, it could be British as well, it could be anywhere. I always say, if they've got a booth all in English, I always say to them, where are we? And then they kind of arrogantly, China. I say, well, what do they speak here? What do Chinese buyers speak? What's their first language? Chinese. I say, well, maybe you want to have Chinese on your booth. I don't say it in that sarcastic way, but the response I always get 9 times out of 10 is it makes us more international. We're a more international company. No, you're not. You're not a more international company if everything is in English. It's actually very lazy marketing. 1 in 10 will say, oh, our HQ made us do this. But I think my response to that, when a foreign company has everything behind them in English, or their brochures in English, I would say, would you expect a Chinese company to come to your country and have everything in Chinese? No, they would localize for that market. So it's a huge shortcoming that I see, because it's your face. When a Chinese buyer is walking past your booth, the first thing they're going to see is your booth. So I see this a lot, because the Chinese side is really hungry right now. We're struggling in the UK for money, right? We're struggling for standard of living, as in bills and everything like that. But this is the word I keep coming back to, is Chinese buyers have genuine appetite, right? They want to buy foreign products and services. From procurement managers to R&D teams to executives to commercial to sales. For international products and services, technology, expertise, partnerships. The big one is partnerships. I can't think of any other country in the world right now, apart from China, like Chinese people. They want to partner with foreigners, right? I'm a Brit. If I go to the UK, I struggle to get partnerships. But I'm in China. People constantly giving you opportunities in partnerships. They want to partner with you. And I think there's a bit of a narrative that they want to do it to try and steal your ideas or steal your products. No, that is dying now. The Chinese have already done it, right? They're already ahead. I mean, look at AI and robotics. China's leading the way now. So I think it's going to be the other way around too. The sophistication of Chinese buyers in these expos, I think a lot of foreign companies underestimate it. And it's very high. Chinese buyers will look you up online. That's why I will say your marketing is the number one thing you do. It's the first thing you always do. So these are not people that are just kicking tires. They've done their research. Chinese buyers have done their research. And if you're not prepared, failing to prepare means you're preparing to fail, as a high school teacher once told me. They know who they want to speak to, but sometimes they don't know who they want to speak to. And if your booth doesn't speak to them, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. And Chinese buyers are ready to move. Chinese buyers have got the capital to buy the product or service, and they're ready to move. And I see this every time. Like, most international companies are just not capitalizing on this. They're spending loads of money to fly here, all their team, usually business class, by the way, which is a lot of money. Could be maybe pivoted towards, siphon that money more towards booth and strategy. Not quaffing champagne. And I want to talk about why. Where is the two biggest opportunities right now in China? The two biggest opportunities. This is where you guys want to record what I'm saying. I want to break down the two biggest opportunities. I'll be very direct about this because that's what I do. I speak very directly. Opportunity one. Foreign companies entering or already in China who have pain. So their sales are dwindling. They're being undercut by local competition. They have a marketing issue. They really want to deepen their understanding of China. The window for this is right now. Not next year, not Q3, not Q4. The expo calendar, the visa changes, the shift in perception, these are all tailwinds. These are signs. Like, why would you want to do business with the Middle East right now? You'd want to be all in on China, surely. So bombs and drones flying here. But the companies that are winning are, they're not just the ones that parachute in, quickly do an expo and then leave for the next year. You know, they're here for 3 days. They try a little bit of Chinese food, then they leave. It's the ones that have the proper commitment. And I'm not necessarily saying they have to set up an office and have a massive team here. To really win in the Chinese market, the first thing you do is your marketing. You have your online positioning set up first. Then you look into a Chinese sales guy and girl, man and woman, people that have the network that can sell, right? That can actually bring value, that are commercial thinking. They're commercial thinkers. They can cross-culturally think both ways. If you're a British company, they can think in a British and a Chinese way and can communicate to you in English and Chinese. They can speak English with you and Chinese to their clients. That's your first thing that you always do. People get it so wrong in China. They just think, oh, I'll set up an office and I'll do this and I'll do it. And it's like, no. The first thing you do is your marketing. I had a really interesting meeting last week with a European person. I won't say where they're from, but it might give it away when I say this. But what they said was, oh, what we're going to do is this foreign company is going to come to China and we're going to set up lots of dinners with potential Chinese buyers. That's a complete nonsense. Like, the first thing that you do, we're going to have dinners for them. So no, right? Some Chinese people will do the KTV and eating and ganbei kind of business. I don't like that kind of business, by the way. Well, not too much of it. The first thing that Chinese buyers do is they look you up online. Where are you guys seeing me right now? Online, right? You're going to look me up. You're going to have a look at my videos after this, right? You're going to do your due diligence. You're going to see whether I'm talking nonsense or talking the truth. So the first thing you always do is your marketing, your Chinese website, your WeChat. You have all that in place. Because there's no point in having meetings with Chinese buyers and Chinese investors, because the next thing they're going to do is look you up online. You rather have that stuff lined up first, where you might get more investors and stuff, then have the meetings. It's easier. It puts you in a stronger position. Yes, you need money for that stuff, but you need money for everything. And people say, well, it's free to set up a meeting. Yeah, but you might be wasting, I think that costs time, which is more money, right? So what does proper commitment look like? As I mentioned, it's proper Chinese digital presence. It's WeChat official account. It's Chinese websites. It's Baidu SEO. It's Bing SEO. Bing is interesting fact for you guys. Bing.com has just on desktop, so on computers in China, the SEO has taken over Baidu recently. Baidu is still number one on mobile, but Bing is number one for desktop. And some Chinese buyers, I'd say probably over the age of 40 or more, they still use websites. Content in Mandarin, not English, Putonghua, Chinese, that speaks to the Chinese buyer, Chinese professional audience. Speaks not just the language, but speaks to them commercially, makes them tick. A representative or partner who can navigate the market on your behalf. You can't do this by yourself. I meet a lot of arrogant foreigners that come to China and they think they understand China. They don't even bloody live here. I don't understand UAE, Dubai, right? But if I wanted to do business there, I'm going to speak to the experts. I'm going to speak to the people that live there and know it. So it's so important. Consistent expo presence. I still meet a lot of companies that don't believe in expos. I think it's complete nonsense. They don't believe in exhibiting. It's crucial. With proper pre-planned marketing, 2 to 3 months before an expo is so crucial, and not promoting through LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't work for Chinese buyers, at least. And not just walking the floor cold. It's just no marketing at all. Let me just have a quick look at this. Cool. Okay. Time-wise, we're already 40 minutes in. That's pretty cool. So, but this is important because the window on some of these advantages in China, it's not forever. Chinese domestic competitors, they're closing the gaps quickly. And if you don't have this stuff in place, you're just going to get left behind. It's a bit like not getting on board with AI. You've got to get on board with AI nowadays. The companies that move now, they're doing the marketing first. They're building the relationships as part of the marketing. They're building the credibility. They're building the distribution. By the way, distribution network comes later, doesn't come as the first thing. A lot of companies exhibit at expos trying to look for distributors, which is a horrible. And India is the future, potentially, but I think it's challenging to do business there. I think it's easier to do business in China, if I had to say. People are saying, because I've had lots of Chinese clients and lots of foreign clients. I've not had many Indian clients. I'd love to have more Indian partners. I've got lots of Indian friends. But I think, considering I just think China's easier. Okay. Second opportunity I want to talk about, Chinese companies going abroad. and this one is less talked about, and I think it is the story this year and in the next few years. I'm just sort my hair out. Chinese companies, B2B, so we're talking life sciences, medtech, manufacturing, EVs, technology, are internationalizing. They have to, because domestic market pressure, geopolitical complexity, the natural growth trajectory of a maturing industry is all of these are pushing Chinese companies to look outward. So when they go abroad, Chinese companies need help, like foreign companies coming to China. And they need someone who understands the culture. And I don't think that's always a Chinese person. A lot of Chinese companies think, well, I'll just work with a Chinese company that's a Chinese person that's lived in the UK. No, like you've got to base it on the best person, right? I'd always say you've got to have a mixed team. That's always the best way. You need someone that understands culture, language, decision-making process, commercial expectations, but also who understands that the Western markets that they're entering. Bridging. You want a bridger. You want someone that's actually going to bridge deals. Local market intelligence, cultural intelligence. Someone who's going to localize the messaging, navigate regulatory requirements. But because I think that's a big issue with Chinese companies is the regulatory side. Because Western companies, they get that. This is where I think Western companies do get it a little bit more than Chinese companies. Is like if you do business in the UK, there's a lot of regulation, or anywhere in the world. You've got to, a bit like when a UK company comes to China, they've got to abide by the rules. So I think, by the way, my name is not John. I don't know why I keep calling me John. My name's Daniel. My Chinese name is Baida. Australia as well. So if a Chinese company goes to Australia, they have to abide by compliance rules, regulations. So, and it's the same. You've got to build credibility with Western buyers. So that's a real service gap right now. I think for Chinese companies going abroad, they need people like me. The issue they have, which is becoming less of an issue for me with foreign companies, is you need upfront budget. A lot of companies, not just Chinese companies, but in the West, they want just the intro straight away. No. It doesn't work like that, right? You've got to pay to, have value, right? That's kind of how it works. So, and there's not many people to fill these positions. That's why I'm throwing this out there as an idea for you guys. I've spent over 10 years in China. I'm bilingual, English, Chinese, and I understand how Chinese companies think and they move. I also understand how British, European, American, Australian companies evaluate potential partners. Both ways, actually. I'm very bi-directional. And that intersection is genuinely valuable, right? So, and the demand for it is growing. Really interesting. So if you're in some sort of professional services, consulting, marketing, regulatory affairs, any field that touches a kind of international market entry, Chinese companies going abroad should be on your radar right now, because I think that's a big opportunity. Oh, thank you so much, guys. I'm seeing a lot of gifts coming in. And now the hard conversation is budget. It's a big one. You need money to do all this stuff. And a lot of people ask me how much. Well, how long is a piece of string? I think I'd flip it back to other people. What's your budget? You got to think about what's your budget. I'm not a gym that has a set price, right? A set service. It's look at your books and tell me how much you've got. Because the minimum viable kind of commitment is tens of thousands of pounds. It's hundreds of thousands of RMB. You can't crack a market. I had a company approach me recently. 50,000 RMB. No, doesn't work like that. £5,000, you can't crack a market. Or I've had people approach me like, well, how much am I going to get back? What's my ROI? You're asking the wrong question. The question you should be asking is, when can I get this up and running? Like, I want to get this up and running. So a lot of people kind of get that thinking wrong is you need to tell me how much money you've got, because then I can work out a plan and tell me what your KPIs and your vision. And if you don't know these things, then you should know it, because the best clients always tell you their budget and what they're looking for upfront, KPIs, what does success look like. They're the best clients, honestly speaking. You're going to have less issues. I've always found that companies that tell me how much money they've got up front, I have less issues with them because they're very clear on what they want. So I want to bring this all together now, just to kind of somewhat wrap this up, which is China in 2026 is one of the most dynamic, accessible, and commercially fertile environments I've seen in 10 years of being here. The foreigners are coming back. Tourism is booming right now. The expo calendar is stacked full of events. The appetite on the Chinese side for information, technology, partnerships, buying products and services, expertise, not stealing, but partnering, is genuine and it's urgent. But you've got to plan, you've got to have strategy, you've got to have budget, you've got to have money to do all these things. The two big commercial plays I'm seeing right now are foreign companies entering or deepening, the ones that are already here in China, and Chinese companies expanding abroad. Both of these require the same thing. It's speed, not Q3, Q4. It's like moving in the next month or two. It's commitment. It's the right local presence, and it's budget. You've got to have upfront budget. There's no point in piecemeal buying stuff. Like, you've got to be all in. You're either in or you're out. And the thing that kills both of these opportunities every time is when HQs or certain people in the decision-making process, they stall the deal. And it's like, well, why not just take a chance? Like, if I don't go to the gym every day, I'm not going to grow, right? I'm not going to improve, right? If I don't study Chinese every day or play that guitar down there, I'm not going to, if I don't put in the time and the money and the effort, then I'm not going to grow. It's the same with my business. If I don't invest in this business that I'm building, the social media, the marketing, the PR, it doesn't grow. So deciding to revisit this next year or next quarter is complete nonsense. Underfunding it as well. You can't crack China on 50,000 or renminbi or £5,000. You've got to have a lot more money. Treating China as a side project. Oh, we don't really see China as a side project. We're focusing on America right now. Why? Why would you be focusing on America with what's happening? And seeing China, you got to see it as a strategic priority. It's really, really important. So if this resonates with you, if you're sitting there thinking, yeah, maybe I've been procrastinating on this and I really need to move, just speak to me, message me. LinkedIn, I'm on WeChat, Red Note, TikTok, anyway, you can just message me directly. I've been in China for over 10 years and I know this market properly. I have my own fan groups, by the way, if anyone wants to join. 我现在我说中文，小红书和微信视频的粉丝，我有自己的粉丝群。如果你感兴趣加入我的粉丝群，你可以私信我，然后我会发给你们二维码，然后你可以进去。I always speak Chinese. I also speak 普通话. I speak Chinese. So drop any questions you guys have got. I'm going to be on for another 5-10 minutes, I think. And I want to hear where you guys are at with China. What's where you see opportunities, any opportunities you're looking at. If you're a Chinese company going abroad, Chinese person going abroad, or a foreign person going into China. I hope you found this useful, guys. Do drop a like, comment, send it to someone, because it will save this. You can replay this afterwards. So does anybody have any questions? Feel free to fire away. I'm going to try and go through some of these. Yeah, UK is dying right now. There's nice parts of the UK to visit, but I just wouldn't want to be there. Just realised my little character. There we go, my little Spider-Man. Just flipped around. China is where it's at. I've been just walking around Xintiandi yesterday. I was like, how lucky am I? Just looking around, like, wow, the sun was shining. April is probably the best month to visit here. And yeah, if you want to find out what I do, just go back and rewatch this live stream after it saves. You can rewatch it on WeChat, Weixin Shiping, Xiaohongshu. I don't think it saves it, but TikTok will save it. YouTube, I've got YouTube. All my channels are Baidehan, Baidehan. Repeat that, Baidehan. The vegan restaurant. Oh, good question. The vegan restaurant, I don't know. Message me if the vegan restaurant I've forgotten. That was my last video. I've forgotten the name of it. It's in a temple. It's close to Xintiandi. I will, if you message me, I'll find out. But check out my latest video. I've just posted a video about a guy that like sharpens these knives on the street, and I found that really interesting in China. Good questions, guys. It's not Jing'an Temple. It's where is it? It's close to Xintiandi. But yeah, guys, please check out my latest video. I spent a long time editing that. It's with a local China. No, I don't think he was from China, from Shanghai. I think he was from somewhere else. Yeah, Jenny, it's somewhere near Xintiandi. There's a temple in between Xintiandi and Laoximen, and there's a temple there, and that's where it is. And that temple is quite nice. If you walk around there in the day, it's quite a beautiful place just to walk around. Yeah, not far. Lujiazui, not too far. Good questions, guys. It's not as far as Yuyuan Park. It's not a Yuyuan Gongyuan. It's not that far. It's not Yuyuan. It's not Yuyuan. There's a temple in between Xintiandi and Laoximen, which I've forgotten. I've forgotten the name of it. Shirkuma. Yeah, I think that's the name of it. I can't. You guys can find. You guys are more talented than me in finding these places. I just happened to walk past there one day, and I was like, "Oh, I'll go in there and have some vegan food." I felt really fresh and rejuvenated after that food. I do have it every now and again. I have vegan food. I'm not a vegan or vegetarian, but I'll have some vegan food just to kind of cleanse the body. I can't remember the name of it. If you type in Temple Laoximen Xintiandi, you'll find it. Cool, guys. I think I'm gonna cut it there. It's been over an hour live stream. I've got to play a bit of guitar, guys. Got to play my guitar. So thank you so much for the support. You guys are amazing. If you'd like to join the fan group, you just need to message me. You can message me on any platform. It's not hard to find me. And I'm very grateful for the support. Gan Shani. Oh, people from the Philippines. Lovely. Got lots of people. Got lots of people from all over the world. That's what I always find really fascinating, is people from all over the world. Do I have Italian blood? No. Excuse me. Ibai Sway. Bless me. Bless you. I have French blood. I know that. Hence the name, Danielle. But no, I did the family history, and I think 400 years ago we came from France, which is interesting. A lot of British people are French, you know. So if you want to join the group, the fan group, you just need to message me and I'll send you a code and you can join afterwards. The point of the group, mate, mainly is just to give me love, just to support what I'm doing. But cool, guys. I'm going to cut it there. 现在我会下播。非常感谢你们的支持，我爱你们。Love you guys. You guys are always amazing. You rock. And if anyone's got any questions, you can always message me. 感谢你们的礼物. Thank you so much for the lovely support. And I'll cut it there. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Check out my latest video. 你可以看一看我的新的视频. It's sharpening the knives. You'll check it out. Give it a zan. 点赞, I usually, at the moment, I'm probably doing it once a week, once, twice a week, live streaming. I've got some events and things coming up next week, lots of work. But if you're in the fan groups, you'll know when I'm live streaming. That's why the fan groups are really important. So, cool, guys. Have a lovely evening. Take care. 我爱你们. 再见. Bye-bye. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. 再见. Bye-bye.